The note card that you're going to complete today will contain information about cells and cell transport. So the first thing you need to remember is that all living things are made out of cells. All living things, so all cells, also have to have a cell membrane, DNA, ribosomes, and the gooey stuff that fills them up called cytoplasm. Cells are broken into two categories. You have prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Prokaryotes are very small, simple cells. They do not have membrane-bound organelles, and they do not have a nucleus. An example of this would be bacteria. Eukaryotic cells are much larger, complex. They have many different organelles in them, and they do have a nucleus which contains and protects the DNA. Examples of a eukaryotic cell would be a plant cell and an animal cell. And you need to know the difference between plant and animal cells as well. So plant cells, they have a nucleus, they have a cell wall, which gives it that very rigid square shape. They also have a very large vacuole, which contains all of some extra liquid, water, nutrients for the plant to store. They also have chloroplasts, which is where photosynthesis occurs. Animal cells, they have a nucleus, but they do not have a cell wall. They are more irregularly shaped. They have very small vacuoles, and they do not have chloroplasts that you would find in the plant cell. All cells have a cell membrane. So remember that cell membranes are for protection around the outside of the cell. It's made up of two layers of phospholipids. The heads are hydrophilic, so they point out. The tails are hydrophobic, they point in. You will also find proteins in a cell membrane that can be used mostly for cell transport. Molecules can move through these. The diffusion of molecules naturally wants to flow from an area of high concentration to low concentration. When this occurs across a cell membrane, we call this passive transport, and this does not use any energy. When we are specifically looking at the movement of water molecules, this is called osmosis. And we talked about three different types of osmosis. So we have hypotonic solutions, hypertonic solutions, and isotonic solutions. In hypotonic solutions, there's less solute in the solution, which means there's a high amount of water. The water will flow into the cell, causing it to swell. For hypertonic solutions, there's a higher amount of solute in the solution, which means there's a lower amount of water. Water is going to rush out of the cell, causing it to shrivel up. The isotonic solution is the easy example because everything's balanced, the water moves equally in both directions, and the cell is happy and stays the same. When a cell needs to move a molecule against its concentration gradient from an area of low concentration to high concentration, this is active transport, and this does use energy. When a protein has to be used to move this molecule, it's called facilitated diffusion. The sodium-potassium pump is an example of active transport. A cell is constantly using energy to pump sodium outside of the cell and pump potassium inside of the cell. So a cell has to use energy, ATP, to do this. The last two parts of active transport you need to know, or the two examples, are exocytosis and endocytosis. Exocytosis occurs when a cell will dump out waste products using a vesicle that will fuse with the cell membrane and dump the stuff out of the cell. And endocytosis is the opposite. That occurs when a cell takes in something that it needs.